Hello everyone and welcome back to JavaScript Lessons on Codecademy. So it's been a long time with JavaScript and today is actually the last lesson of it. The only thing we're going to be doing is applying what we have learned from objects into actually making a program that could be useful somewhere. So let's just get straight into it. And if you guys have any suggestions of what I should do next, then please do post that in the comments below. I will be looking at the comments and see which one is the most popular. So yeah. So you're working for a large supermarket and the cash register has just failed. Oh no, the boss is not happy as he can't make any money. That's bad for a boss, isn't it? To save the day, it happens that you let slip to your boss that you know JavaScript and can build a quick virtual cash register until head offices sends support staff. That's good because that's what we can do and we're good at it, hopefully. Let's see. Your boss is over the moon and wants you to get started right away. Okay, so we have a busy task ahead, or whatever you want to say, busy day, I guess. Sure, create a new object called cash register. Okay, here we go. In that, we need to initialize the property total and set it to be 0, and then using dot notation, we need to make total equal to 2.99. Let's see if that works and see if we're going with a good start. Yes, we are. So let's move on. Manually add it up? No, let's not do that. Great, the bossman can see that you can tell the cash register the total, but we need the cash register to do more, not just give us the total from one single item. Your boss wants a way to manually add the cost of each item. We have written the add method for you. There are two things we should note. We are using literal notation to include the method add. Okay. We are not adding it outside of the object. That's good to know. We've used the plus equals operator. This is a shorthand way of writing this whole thing. So it's a lot easier to write this, and I think that we have covered this before. So I'm not going to go over it. Use the add method to sum up the cost of the following 4 items. So I guess all we need to do here is just add those items. So that's easy. Cash register and then dot add with each item's cost. So eggs cost 0.98. Milk costs 1.23. I have no idea what the currency is, but it's just that much. And chocolate is 0.45. Let's see. There we go. So our bill is 7 something, 65 something. I'm just gonna go with pounds because I live in United Kingdom. So £7.65p. Let's go with that. Let's move on. Short-term memory. But this method only works as long as you can remember the cost of every item in the store, which I don't think that every employee at the cash register can do that. So let's see what we can do about that. We need something like a barcode scanner where just knowing the item name will automatically add the cost of that item to the total. So we create a method called scan. Here we go. This method takes some item parameter and adds the cost of this item to the total. Item is a string, as we can see. We also use a switch statement. Previously, we would have probably used multiple if-else statements. Here, things work in a similar way. We have covered how switch works before. Let's just see. For example, if the item is eggs, we then call the add method passing through 0.98 as the item cost. This will add 0.98 to the cash register total. If instead the item is milk or chocolate or magazine, the relevant item cost is added. Note no default case is needed for this switch statement because the item that you're calling is always going to be in the cash register. If you're in a shop, there is never going to be an item that's not going to be registered. Or not normally anyway, unless that shop is a weird shop. But let's just not go into that because that's not the point of this task. So what we need to do then is write the add method which has a single parameter write the add method. Oh, so we actually need to make our own add method. They removed it. How nasty of them. Oh well, let's just do it. Don't forget the comma here, because I normally forget it, and that's the only reason my programs don't work sometimes, and I wonder why they don't work, and I'm very annoyed. So just a heads up, which has a single parameter, item cost. There we go. It will add the item cost to the total. So easy. Well, let's do it shorthand, which just means this dot total equals this dot total plus item cost, but this is the shorthand for it, as we covered in a few previous lessons and as it told us the previous task. So now that we have done that, what we need to do is we have partially written the scan function or method for you and started a switch statement. Okay, they only have 2 items, so we need to add 2 more, which are magazine and chocolate. Yummy chocolate, that's nice. Case magazine, and if it's magazine, then what do we need to do? We need to this.add, so call the method that we just created with £4.99p, semicolon, break semicolon. I actually don't understand the semicolons that much because I've seen programs work without them, but it's probably better to have them in. So I will just go with that. Then second case, if it's chocolate, then we need to this.add, and we need to add 45p, 0.45, and then break. Don't forget the break, because otherwise you're going to have an infinite loop kind of, or no, not an infinite loop, but instead of breaking, it's going to go into the next one. So say you have eggs, if it doesn't break, it's going to go into this one as well. So it could be bad, because it would be inefficient. So finally, let's just actually check that we have done this correctly. Yes, we have. So finally, use scan method to buy eggs twice and a magazine 3 times. Ooh, that's boring. So it's called scan. Oops, that's not how you spell scan. And we need to add eggs. Don't forget the quotation marks, because without them you're saying a thing, like a variable, and we're not adding a variable, but we're adding an actual string instead, and it just won't work if you do that. Oh, they should have added chocolate eggs. That would have been nice. Let's see what we've done wrong then. Eggs. Have you scanned eggs twice and magazine 3 times? Oops, we scanned chocolate, not magazine. What am I doing? Let's see then. There we go. So our bill is £16.93p. Good. Let's move on. But as I said, that's a pretty inefficient way of doing it. So let's see what we need to do to make it more efficient. Is that a smile on the boss's face? Well, there was one until he realized that your system requires every item to be scanned individually. He finds this pretty inefficient, and you probably agree. Let's get real. It was pretty annoying having to call the scan method 5 times in the previous exercise, when we could have probably done it just by scanning it twice. What can we do? What is the limitation of scan method? Well, it has just 1 parameter item, and you can't specify anything related to quantity. So what we need to do then is modify the scan method, so this method here, such that if we tell it the quantity of each item, it will be able to add the right amount to the total. Since you currently tell scan nothing about the quantity, it may be useful to create another parameter. I will call this parameter quantity because it just makes sense. And I think I'm spelling that correctly. Quantity, yes I am. Let's copy that to keep it. And now that we have it there, we can multiply each item by its quantity and add that on instead of just the single item. The only downside to this is that if you have 1 item, you still have to add a number, which could be less efficient. But then if you have more than one thing of 1 item, that's the same, then you're saving much more coding. So this is probably more efficient than what we had previously. So now that we have done that, and this works because if you have two of these, you will have to pay for it twice. So 2 times that is the price that you will have to pay for that item name. So now that we have done that, what we need to do is scan 4 of each item using your improved scan method. Previously we would have needed to call scan 16 times. Now it is down to 4. So that's good. Cash register dot scan, and we need to specify the item. So we need to specify eggs, then milk, then whatever else. And we need to also specify the quantity. If you don't specify the quantity, it's probably going to give you an error saying something like 2 arguments required, only 1 given. So don't forget to add the second parameter, which is the quantity. There we go. So eggs, let's put milk. Let's buy 4 magazines. I don't know why you would do that, but okay. I mean, at least 4 of the same magazines, but okay. So our bill is £30.60p. That's kind of annoying that it doesn't put the 0 there, but I guess it's programming. Doesn't really matter much. Let's move on. Bleep bleep. Okay. The boss looks down at his pager to see register 8 needs assistance. They have scanned an item too many times and need to void the last transaction. So he turns to you and says, okay, JavaScript Ninja, what do we do now? I guess we're the JavaScript Ninja. New title achieved. Let's see what we need to do. We need to keep track of how much the last transaction was. Modify the add method to keep track of the amount of the last transaction. This should be tracked in a new property, last transaction amount. Which means that we just need to add a new property here. At first we will just have it as 0 because you wouldn't have bought anything by then. If you don't have anything in total, you wouldn't have bought anything, therefore you won't have a last transaction, basically is what I'm saying. There we go. Add a method called void last transaction. I'll just put that here. And it's a function. I mean, it's a method, but they function like functions. That subtracts the last amount transacted from total. So it doesn't need to take anything. And what it does need to do though is from total subtract the last transaction. Actually we need to modify our add method first. So our add method doesn't really say what the last transaction was. So to get the last transaction amount, what we need to do is just give it its item cost with this. So by doing this, when you add something to your when something has been scanned, say it's eggs, how much do eggs cost? I think they're 0.98. So say you've added 0.98 to your bill. That gets added onto total and also gets stored into last transaction amount. Then you add milk, which is 1.23. That gets added onto total, but last transaction amount gets changed to 1.23. So if we want to take away milk, we can just take it away from total by doing minus equals last transaction amount, because it's going to be equal to 1.23 in the example that I was saying, so it's going to work. So let's see. Then use the new method to void the last item we scanned. Okay. There we go. Didn't have to write that whole thing out again. So we don't need to give it any parameters, but don't forget the parentheses, because if you leave out the parentheses, it's going to search for a property instead of a method. So it's probably not going to give you an error, but it's not going to give you anything, and you yourself are going to be confused. So don't forget the parentheses, basically. And then what we need to do is just finally scan only 3 of the same item instead. So, oops, not there. I put it in the wrong place. I have no idea why I did that. I put the whole thing that I did in the wrong place. Whoops. Well, I can easily move it with cut and paste. So that's what you need to do here. Void the last transaction and then just add 3 of them. Although you could just void 1 chocolate, but it really depends on how much work you want to put into your program. And because this is just a makeshift, I guess, just for until tech support comes by, you can do it this way. And so now that we have done that, let's actually put this where it's supposed to go, just in case it causes any problems. We have added the property, so I will just delete that line. And there we go. Let's see what happens. Oops, we have done something wrong. Is not a function. Oops, that's not supposed to be that. It's supposed to be void last transaction. Not last transaction amount. Okay, another error. Last transaction amount is not defined. Last transaction amount is defined. It looks like you have an error in your code. Check the error message for more details. Okay, I don't know what's going on. I will be back in a second. Basically, what the problem was that last transaction amount isn't defined in a way. We need to put this dot last transaction amount to actually tell it which last transaction amount we're talking about, because you can have more than one cash register. So if you do this dot last transaction amount, if you run and save, it's going to be fine. So your bill is going to be £8.55p. So let's move on. Over the moon! Great, this store is ticking along, making money again. The boss is so happy you have just been given a bonus staff discount to the value of 20%. Woo! Anything for £100 is gonna be £80 for me. Oh yeah. However, the current system doesn't know how to apply the different levels of staff discount that apply. Now the rest of the staff is not happy and demanding you to make improvements. Let's sort it out so that staff can get their well-deserved discount. That's nice, so we're going to be nice to other staff as well as ourselves. You can just save and submit code for this task and it will run, but I will just go through it just in case. So create an object constructor called staff member, and we know how to do that because we're good like that. So var staff member equals new function. I believe this is how you make it. Yeah, it should be like that. Okay, let's just test it out anyway. Which takes 2 parameters, name and discount percent. And is that how you spell percent? I don't know. There we go. So to help, we have already created 2 employees, blah blah blah. Create a new instance of the object for yourself. But what do we need to do here? Create an object which takes 2 parameters, then behaves public. So this dot name equals name, and this dot discount percent equals discount percent. And I don't think this is going to work. Well, it works, but staff member is not a constructor. How do you do this again? Equals func. Oh, this is how you do it without the new. And now it works. So this is how you make it work. Because if you do new, then you're actually making an instance of it. But all you want to do is make it a constructor, so you don't need the keyword new. So if you do this, no errors will pop up and everything is going to be fine. Oops, actually, yeah, no errors will pop up, but let's just make ourselves, just in case. I know that in the next task we will need to make ourselves again anyway, but whatever, doesn't matter, I can just copy this line anyway. And our discount percent is 20 because we did such a good job with the program. Let's move on. Then phew, it's been a long day fixing cash register, and now let's actually apply our well-earned discount of 20%. Now that we have our objects representing the staff, let's update our cash register to actually apply the discount. On line 10, create a new object called me here, and we can just copy and paste that line. So this is what you need to do. You can put any string you like there, and you don't even need to remember it. So I could just literally put that. And I am actually going to do that because, yeah, I just want to show that it works. Create a new method called apply staff discount in the cash register object, which accepts a parameter employee. We need to do that here. I always like making an outline of the function first so that I don't forget the closing parentheses, or curly bracket in this case actually. It takes in employee. There we go. When this method is called, cash register should apply the staff member's discount percent to total. So wait, what? Oh right, so this dot total times equals 0.8. So what I'm saying is to multiply total by 0.8 and make that be the total. Because if you want to decrease something by 20%, you need to times it by 0.8, if you didn't know that. Hopefully you did though. And I'm guessing that you did. Under the comment, apply your staff blah 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 here. Call your new apply staff discount and pass the object me. And because we're passing the object, we just need that, which is why you can just add whatever you want in there. There we go. And as we can see, it works fine. Actually, wait, let me just make sure that I'm doing this right. Should apply the staff member's discount percent to total. Well, if because here I'm just specifying it for myself, and that's not correct. So if you want to do it for another staff member discount, then you would have to modify it so that when you get employee, you're getting their discount percent. So let's actually modify it so that it does it the correct way. Staff.member, this.total equals, well, that. Instead of that, we need to do this dot discount percent, and that's going to give us a number which is going to be 100 times bigger. So we need to do 100, no, 1 minus this whole thing. I might just be overcomplicating this, but I don't think that's such a big deal in this case. Divided by 100. So now if this is 2, no, if this is 20, it's going to become 0.2, and 1 minus 0.2 is going to be 0.8. Oops. Okay, your bill is wrong. So let me think this through and I will come back to you. Okay, I found the way of how to do it. You just, instead of doing this, because this is going to refer to the cash register, you need to do, and cash register doesn't have the property discount percent. What you need to do is take the employee's discount percent, and then you do whatever you want with it to get to get the value that you need to multiply the total by. And how I did it is by doing this. You could also do it 100 minus discount percent, the whole thing divided by 100, but it really depends on your style. I will just keep it as this, and let's just make sure that it works. As we can see, it definitely works. So yeah, that's the course, guys, and we're finished. So as I said at the start of this video, please tell me what you would like to see next, and give yourself a pat on the back if you managed to follow the whole course along, and you did learn quite a lot in this. We didn't learn everything though, or we didn't practice it enough anyway. So if you want to be better at JavaScript, do practice it more. Get your own JavaScript compiler downloaded and things like that, or find other lessons that I haven't done to practice on them as well. But until next time, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please subscribe, like, and do all of that good stuff. So until next time, until the next whatever video I'm making, thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.